I'll stay after class if necessary. Let's get started. Mr. Woods, would you do the invocation, please?
Our great Heavenly Father, once again, Lord, we are assembled together, Lord, upon your name. Father, we ask that you continue, Lord, to let us work together, Lord, throughout this county, to work hand in hand with you overlooking us, to make it a better place for us to work, to play, and to live. Father, with these all other blessings at your Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you. All right. All right, Ms. Bundy, this before me is for item 5C. All right, thank you. Which is already on the agenda. All right, now, approve agenda items. Any additions or deletions or changes necessary?
Madam Chair, I make a motion we accept it as written.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second that we accept the agenda for this meeting, November 12, 2019, to be approved as written. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hands. Thank you. Next, we have presentations on our strategic plan. This is the follow-up meeting that deals exclusively with public buildings and facilities. Thank you, Mr. Mullen and Mr. Carver. Thank you.
There was really no way to make it easy, but we did have this. So we'll start out on the more detailed side of that, which is the other side, the other more detailed side. What we've got here, and you obviously can take it and look at it and talk about it. With the strategic planning, the sort of the steps to go about it that the chair and I discussed was we've had a couple meetings and we'll have this, and then in December have a work session where we kind of bring it all together. Because we've talked about a whole lot. But this is the second time we've talked about buildings, and it's a list of everything we have and how it's used now and how much of it's in use, the condition, some comments, things that keep us from using it, and that sort of thing. So I'm not going to read everything on here, although I'm sure y'all thought I probably was going to try. But there are a few that I want to touch on, and then any that y'all see that you have a question about or something you already had on your mind, Mr. Carabell, I can try to answer questions there. We'd like to come out of this with some general thoughts or y'all's ideas or direction so that we can come up with a plan to bring to you at the last strategic planning meeting. So just very quickly, I numbered them down the left-hand column so I can go to the number. And what we're focusing on is places where we have space available, and then we'll talk about people that need space. So the first one is an administration building, and if you go in our building and you go straight down the hall, there's 10 offices down there, and they're just as nice as they can be. They were renovated more or less when we renovated the front of that 5 or 6 years ago. The issue with that is that they're behind the security door. You have to go through a door to get in over there. It's not really set up for just public just to come in. And so to use that, it would need to be offices that don't have a lot of foot traffic. They don't have people coming in all the time. But it is available. There's storage in there now, and a lot of financial administration records are there, but they could be relocated. The second item on here is the space we have downstairs, which is directly under what I was just talking about. So the T is straight down, and DJJ is in there now. They're full in there, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail there, but there's some need for some improvements to be made there. Number 4 is the former magistrate's office on Marlboro Street where recreation is now. So if you go down Hospital Hill, I guess we all still call it that, on the right where the glassed in office is. Again, I'll go more detail with that, but we have a critical need to do something about that space now. It has some serious problems that have come to light, and we will talk about that in a minute. There's plenty of space there, though. It's just not in good shape. And, if we go down these things again, I won't read them, things like the DSS and the health department and the agriculture building. there needs to make some improvements there, but they are full and they're adequate right now. Airport, detention center, those things. If I go down to number 15, and that's the EMS, where EMS is, where Northeastern Tech used to be on Marlboro Street. That is a very nice space, and it's occupied by EMS and will be for some time. But down the road in a strategic plan, if there were some grant to build an EMS or a fire station EMS, that sort of thing, if we moved out of that building, that'd be a great building for some county agency. It's a really nice building. And we had plans, we had thoughts of doing that until we had to get in the EMS business. You go on down to number 19 and 20. That's the McCall House. That's where the Veterans Affairs is. Downstairs has Veterans Affairs in it, and the legislative delegation, and they are more than full. Upstairs is not full at all, but you don't have any handicap access, and it's sort of set up as one big conference room, which is pretty nice, and it has two other rooms that are like a museum. So a space that could be used, but you'd have to figure out a way around that access. And it's in pretty good condition. If we move on down to 25 and 26, obviously the library is the library, and it's there. We're taking care of it. It's our pride and joy. You'll see some maintenance things we'll need to start planning for. Things are getting to be, I guess, 10 years old or older. The rear section of the library was the NETC classroom, and when the county made the trade and deal with Tech for the Winn-Dixie building, that property in the back of the library became county property. Now, like I said before, it was NETC. The library staff has begun to use parts of that back there. And we can talk about that more when we get on the back page here. But that has one big classroom and two small classrooms. They've made one of the classrooms into if I understand it, like used bookstore, coffee shop, or some sort of arrangement there. If you go to 27, that's the old library here on Market Street. And if you ride by and look at it, you're like, wow, why don't we use that for something? And of course, me, I don't like to throw anything away, and I like to fix things up. I've gone through there several times with Carabo, and we had some engineers back when Mr. Kimry was here look at it, and it's not safe. It's honest to God going to fall down. We took bids on tearing it down a long time ago, and it was about $65,000, and obviously that wasn't going to fly. But we have we seem to have more people bidding now on demolition, so our recommendation is going to be that we try to find a way to get that knocked down. It's really not safe. When you're in it, it's one of those things you'll see something and you're like, oh, maybe I ought not be in here. It's separating from the joist. Then we go down to 29. 29 is the Plaza building. Now that county owns that, and if you'll remember what happened there is some financial troubles with the CDC. It was sold for delinquent taxes and was about to go outside the county, and county council approved money to get that straight and to take ownership. It's occupied by the CDC. They occupy about 30% of the building. It's in pretty good shape. We made sure that we keep the heating and cooling system and the roof and all that in good shape. And the only limitation is that, you really would need like an elevator to use the other floors. But it's in pretty good shape. You look at number 30 is the Print Center, the Blenheim Gym. Obviously, you've seen that. We're really proud of that. It's really nice. We put in the budget for this year to renovate the bathrooms. If you went in those, when we had a Christmas thing, there were locker rooms, and they're not very nice. It has a lot of space. It has 3 or 4 or 5 classrooms that were not 4 probably. 3. Mr. Carabo went to school there, so he can tell you where the principal's office is, I imagine. And Miss Bundy, she probably couldn't tell you that, though. But it's so far away from town, if it were closer, I would be in here saying, let's put the recreation department there, but it's just so far off. And then the last one on here is the voter registration office, and you probably heard from them, they need more space. The building itself's in good shape. We put a roof on it, replaced the trim boards and all that. So is there anything on here y'all saw when you looked down that you want me to explain that I didn't talk about? I know it's a lot in a short period of time. But you take this with you and you can kind of get a feel for what we have, at least from staff philosophy is we seem to have a lot of things scattered around, and it'd be nice to get them in consolidated and get rid of things that are eating that don't really have any value to us. You know, on here we had the old jail out on Wallace Road, and we were going to tear that down, but we figured out that we could use it for public works storage, and it kind of blocks the public works shop. So if you tore it down, you'd end up having to. So we left it alone and put a shingle roof on it. Okay, on the back side, you can tell how important you are whether yours are upside down or not. Mine's upside down. Anybody got an upside down one when you flip it around? So y'all are all much more important than that. These are the things that Mr. Carabell and I have gathered, sort of a priority with us. I'll let him talk to this. This is, y'all can change anything around. We just try to give some basic starting point to the discussion.
So we basically went through and tried to prioritize what we thought we needed to do, and recreation, where they're at's in poor condition. So we thought maybe we could relocate them short term and renovate the existing space, and then maybe decide what to do with it later, or put them back down there, or whatever. But if you look at the top of the thing, we got it by priority, agency function, the reason, action that we need to take, legally required to provide space, and then funding source. So if we were to do the renovate down there at the recreation department, we would use a little bit of the bond money that we got left. Another priority one would be admin, the DJJ strip that he was talking about, the T down on the bottom. It's in poor condition. It's a state agency, but we think we can go in and add some paint and some lights and do some minor repairs, and we are legally required to give them space. But we got some money in this year's budget that we can do that with. Murkison building, same thing. We just need to stabilize it and maybe replace the windows and get it stabilized. We've done some stuff to the auditorium already, but it's a county department, and we got some money set aside in the budget to handle that. The Print Center, we're going to renovate the bathrooms like Mr. Munlin said. But we're adding LED lights to the basketball court. Hopefully we're going to get that done this week because basketball season's coming. So
good. Okay.
We're in the process of doing that now, but of course it's a county department. We have money set aside in the budget this year to renovate those bathrooms and the lights, of course. Auditor's office, the new auditor, ever since I've been here, even before she got elected, she's complained about space. And the way it's set up, it's got poor workflow, and public access to the main room is poor. So, we need to do a new layout or have possible remove a wall or something. We are legally required to give those people space, of course. Further on down the line, the threes, priority threes, is the Emergency Operations Center. Back during the storm last year, the EOC flooded, so we probably need to do something and relocate them at some point in time. I mean, it's not a need right now, but it's something we need to look at. Voter registration, as Ron said, they need a little more space or maybe some reorganization. Veteran affairs, same thing. Maybe move the delegation office because we're legally required to have the delegation in there, or not in there, somewhere. And then the museum, where it is now, it's not ideal. And you can't expand it, and it's not ideal for the exhibits that they currently have. So long term would be in the Murkison building, but I mean that's longer term down the line. So anybody have any questions about anything?
I do. You mentioned recreation, and that's number one on the list. Poor conditions. Is that a health issue?
Not right now, but it could become one. So if we let it linger on. So.
That area was leaked for years and years and years, and part of the deal when we came to council and were able to get some money for our refinance for our bond, we fixed all that, but nobody has gone in and cleaned out mildew and ventilation and that sort of thing. And it's just, you can't do it while they're in there.
Okay.
I guess is the way to look at it. So yes, it could end up being a health issue.
We don't think it currently is,
But we don't know.
but we don't know.
And how many people are employed there
3
now?
people.
3 people? Okay. You say you can't do anything while the people are there. And we need to look at whether or not we should do any renovations at all.
Yeah, I mean, are you pouring good money against
Exactly.
bad, whatever? You're spending money on something you could spend on Murchison or something else.
Yeah. The last time I was in that building, back in the back, it was pretty musty and closed up.
It's a good space now. It has a lot, it has potential, but I mean,
Right.
it depends on if you want to put money in, you know.
Right. Okay.
If you want to put money in.
In the Prince Hall, now the other side with classrooms at, are we just focused on the gym area? That's part of
Yeah,
the building?
just the gym area.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think this year we're talking about fixing the restrooms. And then the classrooms, a lot of them just need a coat of paint and ceiling tiles.
Right.
So we're
You're
doing
talking
that.
about the other, I think he's talking about
I'm
the
talking
other
about
side.
the other
The
side.
others,
We done touching that other
we
side.
don't own the other side, do we?
Oh, you know, like part that EOC owns?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we don't
we
own
just own
that,
the gym.
and something got to
Some got get,
come of that.
I've been trying to get in touch with Mr. Bass to see where they are on
It's
that.
in pretty bad shape. I've been in there.
Yeah, so I will
Jump
try
from
to
recreation,
undo
see what
that.
she wants.
Before we jump, I would like to, I want council to consider this, okay? Because I wouldn't want to be in poor working conditions where my health might be at risk because there may be unsanitary mold or whatever. Could we relocate them on a temporary basis to the back of the library? I don't know if you all realize that when the library was built, that back part was paid for by Northeastern Tech or the state system. So when we gave Tech the Winn-Dixie building, we inherited all of that. And I realized that 2 of the rooms are being utilized. The library staff took it upon themselves to create a little bookstore coffee room on one side, and behind that is a small classroom. But on the other side, there's this large room, which could accommodate 2 or 3 desks for the director and an assistant or whoever. And then there is a reception area where someone could sit in the phones or whatever. So that would, and then there's the back door access, and there's off-the-street parking off of Parsonage Street. So that may be something temporarily, because I don't want to risk people's health to be in, and it's cold, and it's raining, and it's damp. So we own that building.
is the back side lockable?
Yes.
I mean, the way, where the back side to the front side?
Yes.
Is that lockable?
Yes.
Because I know recreation be all kind of hours.
Yes, exactly, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Well, it was Tech, they had their own thing. The only thing they really share is like a bathroom.
Okay.
There's a door, coming out of the library, there's a door that locks.
Right.
There's a bathroom area and a kitty room where we used to meet council.
Yeah.
Right.
And then another door that locks, it goes
Right.
to the back.
Okay.
So it was separate, you know.
And we own it, you know, because that was part of the swap. So, thoughts, go ahead.
I was thinking about something different, but I agree with what you're
Okay.
saying. I was like the Plaza building, I mean, I think it's like 50% use, and he's right. I mean, I want everybody that's there to be there, but what I'm saying is that there's space down there, and it's being used, that people got paying, don't seem like, maybe money here paying any rent on, they're just in there, right? I mean, we bought the building, and it's our building, but it's just not being used like it should be. You know, it's a good program. I'm not talking about the program itself, the other space that's in there that can, the downstairs floor, for example. I don't think anybody used that floor down there at all, you know. So there's a lot of space down there, I think, that we could use down there. As far as the Veterans Affairs office go, knocking the wall out would be a good start. You know, to me, we got plenty of room down there on that bottom that we could expand out. Even there's the kitchen and stuff down there that really don't be used if it came down to
They
it.
do use the kitchen. Well, every so often they do.
Well, we say
Yeah.
so often, but they don't use it for cooking or anything, they use it for storage. They store their food in it.
Or if there's an
don't use the
event,
stove-
yeah.
They don't use the stoves and stuff in there. I'm all for the Veterans Affairs officers, everybody know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying you could expand that out. Might be cheaper to expand it out than anything else. I'm just,
Well, and I think the thing, taking all y'all's comments and taking them into account, is for us to kind of come up with a plan, because all of us coming from Marlboro County, we're all pretty resourceful. And, sometimes we'll try to make something into something when we could have gone somewhere else cheaper.
Yeah.
But back, just so, because we really need direction, so to just, if you will, so with the library discussion, the only thing information I would offer up is that anything that goes in there needs to not be disruptive to the library. And so if y'all are saying, let's put recreation in there, we do own it, and it was not library until it just became library in the back. But we can put recreation offices in there without having programs in there. And we can even store
program.
equipment and all somewhere else, but it would be mainly for, the need we have for recreation is mainly, 3 desks and people. And we can come in and sign up and all that. And if you think about it, it does fit with the mission of the library, to serve people and all that kind of stuff.
And Mr. Gladden, I'm thinking too about the plaza building. It's a sound structure. There are a lot of offices there. I'm thinking in terms of maybe Veteran Affairs and the voter registration could be housed there at some point. We would need to find a grant or have money budgeted to do an elevator, because right now, the only thing that would be accessible, according to OSHA, would be the ground floor. Upstairs, there are about 5 or 6 nice rooms that could be used for meeting rooms or offices or programs. And in the basement, there's a large conference room.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so that would be something that I would like us to consider, maybe. And then, because really the McCall building is small, even if you use the kitchen, it's small. The last time I was in there, it's very
small.
compact.
They don't use it for cooking.
Right. No, I mean, the whole ground floor is small, because that room behind the receptionist desk is all files.
Which they're moving out now anyway.
Where are they moving those files to?
What they're doing right now is, they're sending their files all to the veterans. They got files in there.
Okay.
They're mailing that out as we speak.
Gotcha.
Because there's no room to keep the files. And I understand their complaint, but it's something that I'm telling them. We had talked about it, but it is necessary because they don't have the rooms to keep filing more and more. People that's coming in, going back and forth to the doctors and stuff. They keep track of all of that, and there's just no room for files.
Well, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that. There was, I'm not sure what the lady's title is. I don't know any action's been happened about who's replacing Ms. Harris, but, had requested some more filing cabinets and that sort of thing, and that's the last we heard about it.
Yeah.
I would trust that they know what their record retention policy is, and they're not sending something off they're supposed to be keeping. But that's not something I can control.
The only problem that I have is what they're doing is they sending the files off to people's houses, right? And that's their personal file, right? And you're not signing for it, you get it in the mail. That I totally disagree with, because it's so personal that somebody else could pick it up.
That's concerning.
Yeah, it is.
So does that mean that the office would not have a copy of these people's personal files? What if they need it?
Well, that, for what I understand, is that when they send the file off, the
That's it?
office don't have a copy. Now, that's mostly your medical information, so I'm not throwing stones at them.
Gotcha.
So it's 2 parts to that.
Yeah.
That's the medical information, and depending on what your medical information is, that's extremely important too.
There's volumes and volumes of what they call HIPAA law that controls what you do with.
Exactly.
So I think,
That's a
I
concern.
understand the fact that they overcrowded, but I think we really need to look into that.
So there's
It's not a personal thing. I don't think they doing anything wrong. I'm not saying she's not doing her job. I'm not saying that at all. I think she's just trying to find a way to have more space.
And
You know,
the delegation is not appointed a new Veteran Affairs
They won't do that
officer?
until January. It's a whole nother ballgame.
So who provides oversight for the clerk?
Well, right now, nobody's providing oversight for
She's a county employee,
Okay,
but we're not,
no oversight.
actively providing oversight, because I'm not a Veterans Affairs expert, but sending out confidential medical files without any kind of return receipt or signing for or anything like that doesn't sound like good practice. Mr. Odoms has a hand up.
Yes.
Yeah, the voter registration, that's the one of the buildings that's way over as far as needing space. And I see on here a roll-up door possibly at the back, and, we got a lot of money invested in those new machines, and, I think, my opinion would be that it would be great if we could go out the back of that building to keep all of that together, rather than try and move those machines to, say, another building. And if that's feasible, to possibly go out the back and enlarge the storage room that's back there to keep all of that equipment, because when they have to calibrate the machines, it would be bad to have to go somewhere and bring them in and calibrate them when they could do it right there in that one office.
Well, I wasn't thinking in terms of moving machines, I'm talking about the office staff.
Ms. Prince, were you saying move everything?
No, unless there was secure space and easy access at the Plaza building. But it may be an option
They are in a nice building.
to leave them there, but the office space, the day-to-day office space, they need a little more room. So maybe those offices could be moved over to the Plaza building and keep the machines and other files or documents stored there. I don't know, I'm throwing this out.
Well, these are things we can take.
In the workshop.
We'll go, and we'll go
Yeah.
look, and like, at your suggestion, we'll go down there with tape measure and see what we can do. And we're going to take everything y'all say and try to
Right.
put something.
And they do have now, they do have two existing large parking lots too, like for what we saw
Right.
during this past election,
Right.
and you wouldn't have that over on Plaza. I mean, you'd be pretty limited in the parking.
And we spent a little bit of money here recently putting security doors in, because a lot of times they're there during the day where they have to, I think, push a button or buzz you in. So we have done that. And then, from my perspective as administrator, a lot of times people want space equal to the spike that they have. So election night, everybody's crammed in there. Does that mean we build a, 30,000 square foot Butler building, or we tell everybody they need to go to the courtroom for that, or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I think their interest though is in storage space, because if you go in there now, there's machines are sitting all over the whole room, so.
And when there's an election for early voting, they could still do the early voting there at the Marlboro Street office, and just have the administrative arm in the Plaza building. Because
Okay,
elections every couple.
I'm making notes of everything y'all say.
One other thing I want to mention, the principle, which is very important. For years, for a lifetime, the community center always been something that people here thought about that being a community center for the community, right? And it turns out that now, that's really not a community center for the community, right? I mean, it's very simple, it's not. Prince Building, right, down there, that can be our community center. And we can make that into a community center like it should be, right? I don't know where the dollars is going to come from, you all guys handle that. But that's something that I think the people in Marlboro County would really appreciate, having a community center. Just like the people in Bennettsville used to appreciate having a community center here in Bennettsville. I think that's an opportunity for us to really get to the community and say, let's make this here. Not just the bathrooms. And I know I'm talking dollars and cents and going to that shit.
Long
Not just
range.
the bathrooms, but really build it up and make that for weddings and everything else we can possibly think of. I think that'd be ideal for us.
So do I hear us saying that we've given staff some information to move forward, and we have another session to talk about these buildings and whatever? I would like for us to consider tonight the emergency of moving recreation out of where they are immediately into one of those back rooms, that large room behind the library. And because that larger room is on the other side. And that would be
Well, is that
perfect.
something that y'all have to look further into before we do that?
No, we own the building.
No, I
We
mean, I
own
think
that
it's
part.
only because the library people have assumed that they have control of that. But if there's a pushback, then we'll come back to you all, but I think we would go meet with the librarian. You know, I think y'all know, but just to remind you that the librarian doesn't work for the administrator, they work for the library board, and y'all appoint the library board. And they very clearly made it known that they don't work for the administrator's office. But it's my opinion
But we own
that the back of the, and they have control over the library, but the back of the library was something else. And if that's your suggestion, I would go meet with her and let her know that that was brought up, unless, without objection. I don't know that you need to vote unless somebody has an objection to it. And if I would hope I get cooperation, you know.
And that would be, and temporary, because, you know, then you can look into where they are now, what it would cost, if it's feasible, and then we do have some other options. But for right now, that would be, to me, the most, or the best place to be right now, even on a temporary basis.
The move is probably going to be a bigger deal than what we think. When I was involved in recreation and I was downstairs where DJJ was, they moved me upstairs. That total chaos from the citizens for a while. You have to put enough notification
Okay.
out there. So if everything fall into place, and from now to January, that would give the people opportunity time to go into the current place now, sign the kids up, and then put signs that say, first of the year, we're going to be this location. But if we jump up and move immediately, like before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving, you have people running around here, phone will ring, where y'all at, where y'all at? And one of the biggest transformation we had when I was director, when we were downstairs and we moved upstairs, the phone took another week before the phone even working. And that made, you could put a director in a bad position off the gate. And that wouldn't be good. He coming in and now he got no phone. You moved him with no warning. And everybody be looking at, well, why? And like I said, trust me, I'd have been down that road, and it's not a pretty road. Because we was not prepared. I came in one day, Anthony, we moving. We moving what? I mean, that's exactly how it was. You know, came in on Monday, and we need to be out of here by 8 o'clock in the morning. And it was just total chaos. If we do this, I think we need to make sure we take everything in steps and get plenty of notification, not only to the new director and so forth, but the community. Because they got to adjust also. It's not just the employee got to adjust. The community got to adjust because they got to find out where we're going and so forth, so on.
And Mr. Woods, my recommendation is based on the fact that the new director is asking, is it safe for him to be, and the employees to be there? So we need to, my position is that we need to show that we are proactive in this, and that I agree with what you're saying, but putting signs up. Also, parking, that parking area that's off of Parsons Street, if there needs to be a sign up saying parking for recreation or parking for whatever, there need to be lights up. We can add that too, because that's maybe about 15 or 20 cars can get parked in that back too.
I think Mr. Wood's concerns are valid. So I think if we have to do it because of a health thing, or potential health problem, then we'd have to go even further down the road of making sure people know, because you're right. The phones particularly, we find have the same problem today, that many years later. The bad thing and the good thing is that I would imagine, have a third or a quarter of the participation you had when you were there.
Yeah.
It is that bad. And, but you make a good point, and if we can, the more notice we can give, we should give. I think that's what you're saying, you know.
But you're talking about putting 3 desks in there, maybe 3 people at a desk. But what else do you need? I mean, do you need...
You mean, if we had a choice, what do we need?
Right, because only reason I'm getting at that is I'm saying, it's just, we think about doing this temporarily till we get that fixed, or what I'm saying is, that's why we did the Baptist office and detention center, so everything's there instead of transporting back and forth, because the stuff you save like that. So I'm saying that that's a good idea, but have we got something bigger that we can put them into right now?
Well, there's space at the library.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I have to take the marching orders and go down there, it's going to be the reaction. If we'd have done this the minute they handed us the set of keys, there'd be no reaction. It's just squatter's rights, for lack of a better term. When I say storage, if we pare down to what we really need to have in storage, it would not be that bad. We can buy shelves and stuff to hold helmets and the pads and all this and that, and we could put it all in one place.
Which we have that down there, we can move that.
Yeah,
Just
it looks like a
organization.
bad yard sale down there right now, but you make a good point.
Right, I just didn't want to create something that we said, well, this is working good, but we haven't run all over town.
Yeah, you make a good point. So if we're going to do it, I guess it's kind of, okay. We'll broach this with the librarian tomorrow and get back with you if we need to get back with you.
All right.
But that is a good point, and that's the whole point of all of this, really, is to try to quit having stuff here and there. You know, everything's in a halfway building instead of having everything, you know, in one place in a decent building.
And Mr. Carabo, could you begin to look to see what an elevator would cost? Whether it could be done internally in the plaza building, or whether we'd have to build, what do you call it?
Like a tower on the
A
outside.
tower
running
for that?
A shaft.
We'd
Yeah.
have to get engineers.
Yeah, I don't know
look
what, look at the blueprints, because they see the space where you could do it internally.
And I'm not really that familiar with that
That's a
building. There
good
may be a
building.
chase in there somewhere you could,
That's a good building.
I mean, they
Yeah.
do it, people do it.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Anything else? All right, let's move on. Thank you for your presentations, and thank you, council members, for your brainstorming and everything that you came up. That's what makes us work so well. We discussed everything and come to some consensus on how to move forward. Part of our strategic planning process. Thank you. All right, approval of minutes. We have October 8th work session meeting. Entertain a motion. If there are no corrections, it's been moved and second that we accept the minutes from the work session held October 8th, 2019. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Thank you, unanimous. And we had a regular meeting, also on October 8th, 2019. Hope you had a chance to take a look at your minutes. If there are no corrections or...
We accept those minutes as written.
All right, it's been moved in second that we accept the minutes for the regular meeting also on October 8th, 2019. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Mr. Gladden was absent. Thank you, sir. Glad you're back. Old business, ordinance 788, to amend the building code ordinance to adopt the latest and future editions of the building, fire, plumbing, mechanical, gas, electrical, energy, and residential codes as mandated by the South Carolina Building Codes Council. Third reading.
This is just an update to bring everything, the current codes and all into compliance. There's no changes other than that.
All right. Entertain a motion.
I move we accept this ordinance.
It's been moved and second that we approve third reading of ordinance 788. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hands. Thank you. All right, new business, ordinance 791, to amend an agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park, the 2016 park of Dillon and Marlboro counties, so as to enlarge the park, first reading. And this one does not include Marion. That's the one we did with Dillon
Yeah, this is
only.
That's right. This is just a legal arrangement to allow them to do incentives, and I'll have a little more information after, second reading, but this is just the standard thing we do where we don't actually share in any revenue.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve orders number 791, first reading.
It's been moved and second that we approve First reading of ordinance 791. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hands. Thank you. Resolution 11-1901, authorizing the renewal of the lease agreement and operating agreement by and between Marlboro County and the Humane Society of Marlboro County Incorporated. Comments, sir?
Yes, if you remember, we entered into this agreement, I guess, a couple of years ago, and it's worked well for the county, and it seems to have worked well for the Humane Society. We basically give them the amount of money that we had budgeted to operate the shelter, and they operate it for us. But it allows them to operate it in a way where they don't euthanize animals and that sort of thing. They're able to do that because they can go out and get grants and things we couldn't. So I did contact by email the officer with the Humane Society, and they did say they wanted to renew it. I think the current budget that we've been providing is $114,000 a year, plus we maintain the building. There are some provisions in there Dr. Prince Rose made me aware of that we'll make sure, like, do they have liability insurance, that kind of thing. And we'll follow up on those, Dr. Prince.
Right, thank you.
But it's a good thing.
Yeah, I read through the original, and I just wanted to document, I know the county has the liability insurance we're supposed to have, but they're supposed to have a certain amount, and I'm not sure what kind, so Mr. Mullins said he's going to look into that. So if anything happens, everybody's got their insurances in place to protect
Motion to
themselves.
approve.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second that we approve Resolution 11-1901, updating the lease agreement with Humane Society for the next 18 months. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hands. Thank you. All right. So, consideration of request for the approval to proceed with the cleanup project for the county interest into McCall Highway 15401.
Mr. Carabo will speak to this.
Madam Chairman, member of council. Everybody's seen the mobile homes at the state line. That's kind of what we're here to do. I want to, first of all, thank Mr. Odom and Attorney McLeod for helping us. Mr. Odom's been fighting for this for a while, and Attorney McLeod speedily got us an agreement finally. So this is asking for your approval to, but basically what the agreement includes, it designates a spot of land for us to construct a Welcome to Marlboro County sign, as we have, in other entrances of the county. The agreement also allows county the access to the property and grants us a site easement so we can keep the property around the sign clean and free of debris so that the sign's always visible. We'll use derelict mobile home funds to pay for the disposal of the other structures. These funds come from a fee that's added to all the mobile homes when their taxes are paid. And we're following the procurement policy, and it only required us to have 3 quotes, and the lowest quote came in at $14,500. So,
Okay.
is there any questions about, I think you have a copy of the agreement that Attorney McLeod.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the agreement with Mr. McCormick and his wife to clean up that property on the north end of the county, which will give us a great entrance coming in from the North Carolina line into Marlboro County.
All right. You want me to read the motion? All right. The motion is the staff recommends to proceed with the cleanup project for the cleanup project for the county interest in McCall, and that we empower the staff to accept the title for the property for the county entrance sign and enter an agreement with surrounding landowners for the cleanup of derelict mobile homes for properties located on Highway 15401 in McCall, and that staff be permitted to use the derelict mobile home funds for expenses incurred for said project. Mr. Odom has moved, and it's been seconded that we accept this motion based on the staff recommendations and what I've just read. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All right, thank you. Thank you. All right. Next, review and approval of 1-year extension of McDaniels Supply Company service agreement for the detention center inmate commissary services. Any questions or comments?
This is just a renewal that requires a vote. The warden has reviewed it and recommends that we just stay with the folks we have now. They're doing a good job.
All right. Entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved in second that we extend the McDaniel Supply Company service agreement with the detention center. All in favor, is this a 1 year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. Thank you. All right, Mr. Glad, must be running good down there.
I had to check in the back to make sure.
We got history. Included in our packet will be the 2020 holidays, starting with January 1st, 2020, and ending with New Year's Eve, December 31st. Pretty standard. Any questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Entertain a motion to approve the... It's been moved in second that we accept the 2020 holiday schedule as printed. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Thank you. No appointments to boards and commissions. Mrs. Moore, please come forward. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of council, for the month of October, expenditures were at 30% of the budgeted amount. This is about 3% under budget for this point in the fiscal year. Revenues are trending fairly consistently with prior fiscal years, and we expect them to increase over the next few months as we begin to receive property tax revenues. The auditors are still working on a few remaining parts of our annual audit, but we hope to have a preliminary report to review soon before we'll get our final report. Are there any questions?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Monoman.
As we always do, we recognize our employee service anniversaries, and this month, folks that had 5 or more years of service include Mary Collins with 6 years, Lori Davis Moses with 15 years, Christina Thompson with 13 years, and Ricky Gooden with 8 years. You'll see a list of events coming up. We have staff providing, doing the lunch at the community kitchen again tomorrow, so this is the 3rd time? 4th time. Tomorrow they're having barbecue. That program still seems to be going well. They have, they have it every day, and they have a lot of people that are benefiting from it, so it's a good thing. The Veterans Affairs dinner party and dance is coming up on Friday, November 22nd. You can see the details there. There is an event called Come to the Table for the Children, put together by the Coalition for Family Enrichment. This is on Thursday the 14th, so you'll see the details of that there. We have a ribbon cutting ceremony for the program where Care South provides a clinic that county and school district employees can go to. So we found out about that today, even though we're a partner with that. We have the Economic Development Holiday Drop-In is on the 9th of December from 4 to 6. Hope to see y'all there. We have a bunch of events here. Drug-Free Marlboro Annual Luncheon will be on December 13th. And we have the parade schedule. So if you're into parades, we've got 3 of them for you right now. We've got McCall on December 4th, Clio on December 13th, and City of Bennettsville on December 14th. And we have reserved a space in those for the council to participate, as we have for the past few years. The county luncheon we have for employee drop-in luncheon is December 9th. And Melissa Brock with 911 appears to be sort of organizing that. So if you want to bring something, you can let her know so she can kind of keep track of what's going on. So those are our events. We have plenty of them. And it's that time of year, so it's a good thing. Economic Development Report, we had a successful industry appreciation event at Eris and Clio. We had about 85 people participate. What was particularly encouraging as we had a lot of, the crowd were industry people and people that interacted with industry, and that's the purpose of the event. And Aris, they were able to give us plant tours, very impressive. Also impressive was Aris's testimonial about the success they've had in hiring people in Marlboro County. They've had folks that have been real success stories. They've had some folks that sort of have worked their way up even in the short time they've been there, and Aris is very happy with the workforce here, so that's good news and the best possible reference you could have in trying to attract other people to come here. As far as solid waste, the new trash collection system, Mr. Carabo, I sat in on a meeting Mr. Carabo had organized with Waste Connections, the new company today, and they are finalizing the details of coming in and implementing the service. Everything is progressing as planned. I think there was a handout that you can take with you. The one thing that's impressive that he showed us is how they will go about communicating with citizens. They'll have a website, and they'll also have an app for your phone. So the app will help you track when they're coming by to get your trash. And they will stick to that. The other thing that we like is that they will have on their website a place you can go on and enter, a complaint or an issue or a compliment if you have a compliment, and they will actively look at that. Their dispatchers will read those things all during the day to try to address your complaint and probably more realistically to see if there's a pattern. If they're starting to get a bunch of complaints in the Clio area, around Clio, they'll know they've got a problem. That's such a big step forward for us in the issues we've had here recently, and we're really excited about this. The tax bills did go out last week, so some folks are starting to get their tax bills, and we wanted to remind folks that the fee for this is on there, and it's $170 if you're on homestead, seniors and disabled folks, and $205 for everybody else. And this includes the $40 fee. There's no other $40 fee. And it of course represents a savings of $110 for seniors as over what they were paying, and $75 savings for other folks. Also, folks may not notice, because it's not much money, is that the towns of the city of Bennettsville and the towns of Clio and McCall and Blenheim and Tatum have a $10 fee on people's bills, and that makes it to where you can bring, if you live in the city of Bennettsville, you can bring your mattress or your TV or your old refrigerator or any kind of junk but household trash to our convenience centers. Now, this was important because the city of Bennettsville particularly had discontinued that service, and we're seeing a lot of litter on the side of the roads. And met with Mr. Carabo today, and unless there's any objection from council, we'd like to make that that you can bring stuff effective December 1st instead of January 1st. It's not going to create a huge amount more money for us for 1 month, and the sooner we can start having a place for people to take the trash is the sooner the county looks better, and we'll spend less time chasing people that dump something. So if nobody has a problem with that, we'll go forward with that. As far as the administrator's report, we want to give a big thank you to the Marlboro County General Hospital Charities Trust. And these are the same folks that made a huge contribution to the EMS service in buying equipment, $185,000 a year for 5 years. Our EMS director and Ms. Sumter and I have all been involved in how to recruit people to work for us. And one thing we're interested in is providing a tuition assistance for people that maybe are an EMT and want to be a paramedic. So we went and asked Charities Trust, and they approved almost $10,000 for that. I think that it's probably true that we'll always have folks that come and work from out of town on the EMS system. It's how it is everywhere. But the goal is to build a homegrown team, to have a team of folks that are residents here, that live here, to become paramedics and be there. And that's how we can return to the level of service we had 10 years ago. So we thank them. They've been good with listening to our request. Our two new recreation employees have started work. Ms. Rhonda Frazier started today, and Mr. Fred Lowry started last week, and they're already hard at work. We do want to thank Greg Leviner, who was the last man standing in the recreation department, for holding it together while these folks came in. They've already begun focusing on communicating with citizens and hearing ideas and concerns as well as modernizing our operations. Things like sign your kids up online instead of having to come up here. You know, that's what people want to do now. Mr. Carabo is going to be working with Mr. Lowry to focus on the repair of our fields. And we've got issues everywhere from Bennett Park to Love Park to our, Wallace and here in town. So we really got to get on that. And we have a little bit of FEMA and insurance money left to make some repairs that'll make it better, probably better than it was before it was damaged. So we're looking forward to all that. I know you are as well. I did just want to make a note. I know tonight Dr. Prince had a motion for that thing in McCall, and we don't want you to think we're trying to tell you what to do, but I don't. Miss Bundy and I always have to decipher the motions and the tapes, the next day, and if it's okay with the chair and you all, when there's something to do with like land transfers and all that, we may offer that, assuming that y'all are moving to approve those things. It saves us a lot of hassle or bringing stuff back to you. And then the last thing I had on here is obviously we congratulate Dr. Prince on her victory, and she'll be the next mayor of Bennettsville. That means we have to tell you guys how to fill that spot. And just a cursory look at the law, and Mr. McLeod and I were talking, and we'll get together with the election commission to be sure about this. It does look like you'll have to have a special election in the spring, like April, to fill the spot until December. And then in June, you'll have another regular kind of election, because she was up then anyway, to fill the spot for 4 years. So we'll get all that laid out. It's unfortunate you can't combine those, but it's the law, and it is what it is. I know that was pretty quick, but we've been here a while. Is there any questions I can answer? Or?
Back to the paramedic training. So when a person comes to work as a EMT, what's the difference between paramedic and EMT? Briefly.
Well, I'm probably going to get 15 comments on Facebook, but here we go. My understanding is you're a basic EMT. You were around it. And then you move up like intermediate and advanced.
Okay.
And then you go off and become a paramedic.
Okay.
A paramedic, I think, can administer drugs or more drugs. It's the top.
Gotcha. So is there training for the basic EMT?
No, the training would be for an EMT that wants to pursue the paramedic.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry.
So what I'm getting at is they have in the Career and Technology Department of the high school, they have the, I don't know the official name, but students that go through the 3-year program and they pass the test, they get their CNA license. Could they be interested in?
They may be, but in order to work for us, they've got to have at least an EMT, which is different.
Gotcha.
And then in order to do this, they'd have to be at a level, it's like Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, like ranks. You know,
So
they got to be
there
ready
is-
to move that next step.
Gotcha. So there is some training for EMT.
But to your point, and
Homegrown?
we want to be homegrown, and
Right.
so we're more actively trying to go out
Okay.
and find folks that want to come up.
Okay.
So that would be something we could tie in.
Right. Miss Charlene is over that program. All right.
So many times people here haven't been exposed to things,
Right.
and they don't even know they might want to do it.
Exactly.
And so if we can get out in the schools and all.
Exactly. And a lot of people want to stay in Bennettsville if they can find a good job. And add some other.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one thing. So as of December 1st, people that live in the city, they have furniture, refrigerators and stuff they can start checking into outdoors. And they have to pay a fee of,
Not pay anything.
no fee at all.
When they pay their taxes, they're paid.
If they pay their taxes, they fine, they don't have to pay anything. I just want to make sure.
Now, I didn't look at a calendar. Is that a Monday, or, I guess we should look. It would be the first Monday in December. I should probably say that.
Part of Bennettsville is in my district also, so, I get hit with
The second of
it
December.
all the time,
And that's something that you all wanted and y'all voted for, was to put that fee on there, and we tried to make it as little as possible, but the benefit's going to be huge. I mean, there is stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it would be, it would be.
If you ride around the edge of the towns, it's just, yeah, that's what I think, which is a pain.
That's great.
All right.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
We have no citizens. Sheriff, you have any comments? Okay. We'll start with you, Mr. Woods.
No, ma'am, I am good.
Ms. Plato? Wow, Ms. Plato? Somebody take a pulse and...
We forgot, I should have had on my thing, and how successful this Plato event, we're all forgetting that, trunk or treat. It was, the dentist and the diabetes doctor thought to send us a check. Because they were lined up, I bragged for her, they were lined up down the street in front of the courthouse. And at first we thought they were making a loop, and they weren't. And man, it was a great event. It contributed to some juvenile diabetes, but we'll get over that and it'll all be okay.
I would like to mine will somewhere else. But I would like to thank everybody that came out and supported the event. I mean, it was just off the chain. I mean, I think they say we had over
1,000 people. That's what I read in the paper.
Not just those that brought them, just the children. It was really, really good showing, and believe it or not, what I got a thrill out of this. Out of all the things that we're going through in Marlboro County, the hardships and all, it gave me a joy to see everybody out there working together, laughing and talking, enjoying themselves, putting everything on the back burner for at least 2 or 3 hours and going out there and enjoying themselves. And that really made me feel good. We didn't see no fighting, no fussing, no cursing, no nothing. Everybody was just enjoying each other. And we had a wonderful time. Thank you, administrator, chairman, everybody that helped, sheriff, came by and checked on me a couple of times. And but everything was well, and Doug stood by me through thick and thin. I called on him and he was right there, toting sodas and ice and back and forth. But he was there for me. And I really appreciate everybody. Mr. Gladden, you hung in there with me. You know, I miss Steve. I meant to come to you and ask you to help me with something. I know if I would, I know you would have, but I forgot. I got busy running and forgot to get back to you. But I know you was there with me all the time in spirit. But thank everybody for the support, and I hope that we will work together next year and have it again. Because I've had people calling me already. Y'all want to do it next year? I said, I hope so. I hope the mayor go along with us. But so I hope everything goes well and we do it again and it'll be bigger than what it was this year. Yeah, all right.
I have nothing.
Yeah, I got two more. You know, I think everybody here knows me. So, and we come down to some of the negative stuff that go on. I can't leave that alone. I got to bring it out. You know, I got to. And what I was going to say was, we talked about the giveaway the other day, right? And when it came down to recognition, we turned out it was great, right? But Ms. Plato, the part that she played for all that was done, her name was never mentioned. That bothers me. She didn't say anything about it. She got more class than that. She won't bring it up. I don't have that class. Just that simple, right? You know, but really, when it came down to the speakers and saying who done what and where, her name was never mentioned. And we can't sit around and let people do that to us. If we're doing something, we done it from the county, we got together, we put it out. She played a big part and need to be recognized for what she done. That's very important to the children, not to us, but to the kids. And it was great, a great affair. But I appreciate what you done wholeheartedly, right? Now for the mayor, God have mercy, but that was a heck of a fight. And I said, heck, I almost blew it. You know what I mean? That was a heck of a fight, but it worked. I mean, now we got somebody that understand what's going on and it's going to do for the people. It got nothing to do with you being county. It's about where your heart's at and doing the right thing. And that's important. Like I said before, part of Bennettsville City's in my district, so I see the problems that we have and I hear it. To have somebody in there now that we know is going to look at the whole 9 yards and do what's right. People was hollering about, oh, she's going to be working for the county. No, we all know that's a bunch of crap, right? She's going to do what's right, and that's what's important. And there's going to be feedback about it, but we can handle that. For us getting a replacement for you, what are we going to do now? Yeah, Carolyn, we're going to miss you, babe. But whoever come in, they're going to work with us. They're going to see how we work together as a family, right? We don't give a crap of who you are, where you come from, as long as you're doing the right thing. That's what we care about. We're gonna be missed, without a doubt, Earl, but we're gonna be
I'll be
good.
around.
I'm good at that.
I would like to thank Ron and Mr. McLeod and Mr. Carabo for working with me on getting the ball rolling on the cleaning up the state line. It's been really a 3-year deal trying to get everything together. You know, we had hurricanes that came in the way, and we never did give up on it. And the McCormick family, they've just been great to work with us, and he was always ready to talk and try and get something done out there. So it's going to be a great day when we get all that cleaned up and have a great entrance coming into Marlboro County. Again, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Prince on a great victory. Not only a victory for herself, but a victory for the people in Bennettsville and for Marlboro County. And I mean, she worked hard and well-deserved win, and it's just going to be a joy to work with her continuously, you know, to improve Bennettsville and Marlboro County.
All right, thank you. Before I comment on that, I got my tax bill. I guess it might have been in the box. I hadn't had a chance to check my mail. But it's easy to read. I don't know who redesigned it, but it's easy to read. Everything is highlighted, how much you need to pay. And what I'm impressed by is the pie chart. So when the county gets blamed, why the taxes went up, da-da-da-da-da, take a look and see that the county operation is only 26.28%. Yet the school district, school operations, 54.22%, plus the school bond at 9.65%. So just keep in mind, and we're not begrudging them, but of 63, almost 64 cents of every tax dollar that comes into the county goes to the school district for their operations and to pay their bond. That's on top of what the state gives them to operate, plus any grants or gifts or donations or whatever. So there's quite a bit of money. So just remind people, we just collect taxes for other people. And that we are very good stewards of the monies that we've shown that we have a track record of showing that we are very good stewards of everybody's money. In terms of my race, I did not see this for my retirement, but here I am. I'd like to thank everybody that helped me. Don't want to prolong the meeting, but I do have to say thank you to everyone that helped me, and I'll say more at our December meeting, because I'm still processing this. And I'm going to take Ms. Bunny with me. Meeting adjourned. I thought I could get that cross. Oh, mercy.